I'm going to hit the record button. Every Thursday in here, we do a Q&A. This is your time to ask questions about the methodology as well as request charts. I will just start at the top of the questions and chart requests and work my way down. So we will get started. If you have a chart request or a question, now's your time to ask it. As you can see, I've been very actively trading SPX today. Going short from the downside, going long from the upside, trading what has been chopped, the bottom of the chop. We have traded and trimmed and added and trimmed, and it's just back and forth. Then trading downside also from that sell zone, just back and forth, adding, subtracting as price keeps moving between zones. So if you don't like to trade chop, this probably isn't your favorite day, right? But what I've learned is you just got to be good at playing both sides of the trade. Um, I'm going to start with Lester's chart request on TTWO. Let me get here, make sure everyone's on my screen. And you can, of course, flip back to John's future screen if you're a futures trader and you're not interested in Q&A. All right. All right. Lester's asking about take two. I believe, isn't that what 2TWO is? Yeah, take two. And Lester did not Lester, do you have a time frame? You want to be in the trade? Are you already in the trade? Anything like that to add to your request, or do you want me just to start from the top down approach and give you all that I see? All right. I'm not sure if Lester's still around. Lester might be here to catch the uh, replay. So let's check on the weekly chart for take two. First, look at where price is at. Look down, look to the left. You're going to see an inside and up. That equals demand. But right beside it, right part of that inside and up is another inside and up. That equals demand as well. Then we have a lower yearly edge. I want all of that included in this weekly buy zone. All right, 209.23 to 187.17. Pretty wide zone right there. And guys, you're going to have to give me 1 second. I need to manage a XSP trade that I'm in that I need to take some profits. So apologies right off the bat. I didn't plan this out the best in the world, but yeah, I need to take some profits here at my trim level. So let me get that in there, take some profits, move stops, and all of that. All right. Thank you for understanding. All right. Go back to take two, Melissa. All right. So now we got demand. Let's find supply. Look at that big imbalance candle on the weekly chart. Inside, down. Boom. Inside, down, down, down. She goes. Inside, down. Big down candle. Upper yearly edge. High. Hello. Big old sell zone here. These are the two zones that on the weekly chart I would play between. I want to be a buyer at demand, that green zone. I want to be a seller at supply, the red zone. Everything in between on the weekly chart is not a zone and it's not a buy the dip or sell the rip opportunity. What we do is we go down to a smaller time frame, like a daily chart, to look for those levels. All right. So on this daily chart, this would be zones that maybe you're looking to be in the trade for a couple of weeks, a month, something like that. This is going to bring price back to where we consolidated before the gap up. And it's going to create a demand zone that has edge confluence, the lower weekly edge and the yearly edge mid. On the daily chart, this is the daily demand zone, and it is above the weekly demand zone. As far as weekly supply or daily supply, I'm sorry, you have an inside and down right here that lines up with the upper weekly edges and then that weekly supply. So that being said, I would treat 242.16 as the immediate resistance, right? And your demand is right down here. Now you could mark this as the gap fill, mark the low this week, and look at 231.96 to be support, basically the weekly edge mid, and then look for the gap fill to be the next area of support. Then below is that daily demand. All right. And these are the zones that I would trade for a swing trade off of the daily and weekly charts. Where price is at right now, it's not neither a buy or a sell for me. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got going on next. Good to see you, Janine and TJ. TLC wants to look at on, ON. All right, we can do that. NASDAQ's coming down to its PMZ, ES, SPX testing the bottom of their PMZ, FYI. On TLC. Can you mark up the zones on a weekly chart and confirm, please, that you color zones gray that are minor? For my day trading, yeah, or zones that have been tested multiple times, TLC, they're just a gray zone on my chart. But for day trading in particular, my daily blueprints, those when I leave a zone gray, it just means that I don't want to swing trade out of it. I leave the red and the green zones for my more important or swing type trades, set and forget type trades. Okay. All right. Weekly chart. So let's find supply first. This is a lower yearly edge. This thing is very bullish trending for the year. Okay. Here's this year's price action is to the downside. And we're reclaiming the lower yearly edge. That is a bullish sign. But obviously, you have a bearish trend, and price is at a weekly inside of a weekly cloud. All right. As far as supply goes, I look up, I look left, and we have an inside and down. We also have an inside and down here, a inside and down back here. You just have a lot of resistance. So I'm going to include all of this chop before the breakdown. Okay. That's going to give me the supply zone. Notice your yearly edge mid is inside of there. Okay. Also, nope, that's last month's upper monthly edge. Sorry. All right. So that's your supply. As far as demand, if I look down and to the left, and I would use this imbalance candle here. Notice this zone, though, since it was created, was tested. Also, I want to look to the left and find where the original zone was at. and where the bottom of that original zone is at. So it's actually back from here, believe it or not. You have a double inside and then up, and that original zone would be all of this. Okay? But I don't want to just go here because notice you have an inside and up there, but really it originally started back here. So this zone is all the way this wide. If you look back far enough, you will know that. That's why I have trained my eyes to keep looking down and to the left, because before I would get it in my head that it was a fresh zone, and if I had looked further to the left, I would have seen that it wasn't a fresh zone. I would have also drawn my zone too narrow and then missed the fact that I was still in demand. Now I'm going to mark this inside and up right here. I have an original one right there. I have one right here, right? And then the one right here. Okay. All right. So that gives me my demand zone. On the weekly chart, these are the major zones. Supply, where I want to be a seller. Demand, where I want to be a buyer. You have a lower yearly edge right here that we are reclaiming. So if I were to take this trade long above this lower yearly edge, that would be a momentum type of trade. And the levels above that are resistance just on the weekly chart, not the daily, is going to be the top of this weekly cloud and then supply. So I thought for a second I heard John come in, but I guess not. Let me look here on the daily chart. All right. All right. Daily, this is interesting. See the inside and down, inside, down, inside, down. Remember, this is the top of the weekly cloud. You have a stair step of supply here on the daily chart. Okay. All of this. So for that reason, I'm going to give you a couple of targets from the daily chart that are, if I was going to be in this for, say, 2 or 3 months, say you're buying extra time on a super bearish name, if I'm going long, I better be trading this like long term. That's the only way I'm going to go long on a super bearish trending stock. Okay. I will trade counter trend if it's a long time, but not short time. All right. So that being said, let's talk about the first targets. I would treat this as a T1 and this 41.25 to 42.40 as a T2. I would take some profits here. And this is a momentum trade, not really my style at all, but I'm going to talk about it in case it is your style. Notice on the daily squeeze, if you have the squeeze ultra, this thing about 4 days ago was in an ideal squeeze. The ideal squeeze arrow has went away, but it could come back at any time. All right. If this squeeze fires and you see green dots here to the upside, this would be a momentum play on a daily squeeze firing, and I would look for 39.44, then 41 by 42, and finally 45 by 51. All right. If you would rather wait and buy a dip, then this is the dip buy. And I would just use this as a target and the same targets above. Okay. That's how I would trade on. All right, you got it. Janine, let me see here. AIPO on the weekly? You bet. AIPO. I've never traded this name. Power and infrastructure. Oh, okay. AI and power infrastructure ETF. Do you trade this with options or do you trade this with equity? Okay, that answers my question. You're trading this with equity. I like equity trades. Not going to lie, it is my long-term portfolio. That's what I trade. It's equity majority. Yeah, very good. All right, so weekly chart. Let me first start there. Well, this looks like the overall market. 100% this looks like the overall market. So your weekly demand. It is, straight up basically for since the end of March, beginning of April. That means I would have to give you Fibonacci zones to buy a dip unless you are going to be so patient that you wait for that demand below. So notice that this week it came down and hit the bottom of the bull channel. That is that first aggressive zone to go long from, and we have bounced from there. Okay, so the aggressive area to go long right here. Then the my favorite zone right here. All right. And then last would be the demand right down here. So if I was looking to set up an equity trade, that's how I would play it. All right. I'll just play these Fibonacci zones. And if you want to look for confluence, you go down to your smaller time frame charts and maybe you will find a confluent level inside of a daily or inside of this bull channel to give you a good, see how this is inside and up right there. That can give you your entry if you want to wait for 30 and a half. Then down here at this 38.2, depending on how many entries you want for your equity, that is one way you can do it. Notice the 50,618 lines up with this inside and up structure right there. All right. But that's what I see. Now, as far as targets to the upside goes, you can use the upper weekly edge and the all-time. I assume that's an all-time high. Don't get me lying. Let me make sure. But just given the fact that this is a new IPO, I'm sure that is, yes, it is all-time high. Okay. So your first target's going to be up here near, you can use the upper monthly edge, you can use the upper weekly edge, you can use the all-time high. Either way, somewhere around $33 would be a first target. And then I would just take this move and put some Fibonacci extension targets here. I like to basically go between the 23.6 and the 38.2, then the 618, and finally 100. Okay. And that's going to give me some extension targets to the upside. So my first target would be 33, 33 and a half, and then 36 and a half, 39 and a half, and 43. Okay. Awesome. Kapil would like to look at zones on weekly and daily for SoundCloud and Netflix. All right, let's look first at SOUN. And you said weekly and daily. All right, this is weird. Where? Okay. I was like, where are my yearly edges? I knew this thing was down at the bottom. Yeah. All right, we're breaking back down below the lower yearly edge. This is basically the same scenario as um, the last one I just, not the last one I looked at, but take two. So if you look down here on the weekly, you have inside and up right here and right here. So this is the demand that price pulled back to recently and is finding buyers so far at. All right. This zone right here that was created in 2024. Man, what a choppy day. All right. So that's my buy zone for Sound Hound. All right. As far as supply goes, we need to look up and to the left. Immediate is right here. All right. But look over, up and over, and you got inside and down, really close to an inside and down there as well. I'll use this top and this to give you a target to the upside here on the weekly. And then above here, all right, is going to be near the highs at the end of last year. But this thing is bearish. All right. So I absolutely positively would be trading this long term or nothing. Long term or nothing for me. All right. There's your first supply zone. Then inside and down right here is the next supply zone. I'm going to go ahead and use that topping wick there. That way it covers the upper yearly edge. All right. Um, that's your next target or next supply zone above the immediate one. And then yearly edge mid is a target. So this is a buy. Look for resistance here, make that a target, target, and target. All right. That's Soundhound. And I can look at the daily as well, but I don't anticipate anything different, really, honestly. I know that the buy for me, I mean, just as bearish as what it is, I would lean more towards being conservative with my bullish entry. If you're going to trade this thing, though, of a daily demand, it's right here, but it's been tested. Okay. And I went ahead and used that imbalance candle because you have an inside and up there, but you also have an inside and up right here. Okay, so here is a more aggressive daily demand zone. Then your inside and down is right here, right? So right uh, there, right there. All right. On the daily. Actually, it goes back to there. See, I didn't look to the left. I should have because that's a price came up to that supply and it rejected there. So from the daily perspective, this is how I would trade it between these two zones. Weekly, right there. All right, that's Sound Hound. And next up is Netflix. Again, Netflix is bearish from a long term perspective. So let me just say, I'm in this thing long term. All right. And so my buy zones aren't really going to change from what I bought, um, and where I entered. And I've already trimmed, let me say that, and I have not re-entered on this pullback. All right. So my entry, my latest one was down here on this pullback right here. And look at the beautiful inside and up. Well, that is not fresh and it's not new and it is related to this, all this price action. Okay. So my plan for a long-term trade remains the same for Netflix, and that is I trimmed at 105 right up here. So if price pulls back down near 75 again or 67.79, that's where I'm looking to add to my position. Then I would trim again at 105. Why are there two red zones? Because that's two different levels of supply, Janine. Here's your inside and down, and then inside and down. Basically, you can make this whole thing red because it is a complete poo poo show, right? I mean, it tagged the bearish GP. That's why I trimmed my long term uh, equity here at 105, right? And it was a perfect trim. You can see that. And now we've pulled back to the lower yearly edge where I actually started the position. So that's what I was going to say. Um, if you, Kapil, are not already in equity or a long term 12 months or longer trade and you wanted to trade it, this would be my first buy zone, but then I would wait for 75 or 67 before adding to it. Then on the way back up, if price comes back up to the top of the bear channel, that's a trim, then the bearish GP, and then your next supply zone. All right. And on the daily chart, we will just see if there's anything that really changes here. I think I need to trim my XSP again. Are we back up at resistance? Yeah, we're back up at resistance. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I need to trim this again. We at 740.72. 740.72. Right there. Dadgummit, no. All right. All right. There we go. Okay, on the daily for Netflix, here is your supply zone that's above price right now. Okay. If you're looking for a place to go short, right here would be that place. Right here would be that place. And then I would be taking profits at 88-ish, 85-ish, and then this zone right here. I mean, that's what we got. Yeah. Yep. There's sound and Netflix. Oh, cool. Very cool. Since January of this year, Kapil, let's see. Nice. Nice. Okay. So you were in Netflix like I was, right? I love it. Hopefully you knew to trim up here. I really hope you did know to trim up here and at least take some profit. So that's great. Yep, we're back down to a place I'm not adding here, but I would add back down here. Yeah. Yep, we do. All right, very good. What's next? Iron. Uh, Iron, you got it. 1 month swing. You got it, mama. Iron, 1 month swing. I'm going to use a daily chart for a 1 month swing, but I want to show you the weekly as well. Okay. Oh, hold on. Give me a second. We're at next target. Sorry, guys. I shouldn't have been so in this trade, this freaking scalp, with y'all getting right on the mic. Oh, wait. It pulled back. Sorry. 741.17, 741.17. You can see how I do it in real time, I guess. Boom. Oh, no. I must already have cells in up here. Okay. Never mind that. I got them in. We're good. We're good. It's about ready to trim. All right. Let's see. Where am I at? Iron. Bet you thought I forgot, but I didn't. All right. Let's look and see. Inside and down. Weekly. Beautiful. Boy, mama, I think this is going to be the zone, even on a daily chart, don't you? For those of you that don't know, I call TJ mama because she's my trading mama. Just in case y'all think I just call everybody that. All right, that's supply. Clear as day on this weekly chart. Right now, you're trying to print an inside and up on IRIN. The bottom is down there. That's the bottom of that initial candle, right? Looking down and left, I can see on the weekly chart, this is the first demand zone. And really, I got to go back all the way to here. And that's right at that lower yearly edge. So I'm going to put it right there. So, but up in here and this beautiful little rounding bottom thing going on there on the weekly, I bet you on the daily I can find some demand there. And so that's what I would do. Um, go down now to a daily chart, right? Come on, NASDAQ, hold above that weekly edge mid, you little punk. All right. All right, daily chart. And I want to know where is some good demand at with some imbalance. And you see it right here to here. Mm, yep. That was the buy. Mom, are you in this already? It's not at a place that I would start a long position. Okay. Just not. I'll show you why. You got inside and down. And look at where price is at. It's at a weekly edge mid, right? Even though you're looking to trade this for a month, you're right at resistance here. Upper weekly edge resistance, the buy zone right down here, and you've tested it, okay, on the daily. Then below there, you got inside and up right in here and all the way back. I mean, I'm just going to go all the way back. This is on the daily, the nice, pretty green zone I would trade to the upside on IRIN. Now, this name is in bullish trend, so it gets all my respect as far as bullish trades go, and I really wouldn't be looking to short it, right? So it's just not at a place that I would go long from, and I would look for a pullback. The earliest I would draw fibs, right? You know that I draw lots of fibs. And you could consider my favorite zone, and especially here when it's lining up with a monthly edge, but my favorite zone to get into a trade early if I don't think it's going to pull all the way back to demand again is the 50 and the 618. Okay, that's what we got. Um, Melissa, is your members only presentation on the 23rd? You're talking about for my Price Plan Profit YouTube session, right? And there is a members only session, and it is on the 27th, 2/7. Yep. Members only session on the 27th on my YouTube, Price Plan Profit. ML asked, what do I think of Reddit? Well, to be honest, I haven't looked at Reddit in a while, but I will certainly look now for you. Okay. It looks like a rainbow. Chase the rainbow. I love rainbows, but I'm not uh typically it's not the first thing I'm gonna look at if I'm looking to take a swing trade. Unless I like to trade chop. Luckily, I like to trade chop day trading, but swing trading, I don't like it as much because I buy straight up calls and puts, right? I trade from a cash account. So when you're in chop and you're trading straight up calls and puts, that can get ugly without price going anywhere. Okay, just because the option premium gets sucked out in the chop. Okay, so that being said, what I would do for Reddit, honestly, is I would draw some fibs here because we've established we're just in chop. We're in a bearish, neutral, bearish type of mindset. We're below the yearly edge mid. That leans me more bearish than bullish on this name. All right. So looking at this chart, the first, if I'm looking at what is the most recent up move, that it looks like price bounce at about 50 to 618, and it's going to be right here. I would measure this move and see if price closed below the 618, and it did. You see that? So that is not still a move. It the 618 it closed below the 618. So then if I look at this move here on this pullback, notice this closed below the 618 as well. So these are not valid moves to the upside still. The actual only valid move is going to be this downside move here. And come on, trim, you little poo poo. I have no idea where it's set to trim, but I need it. There, it trimmed. Yay! Sorry. So, with that being said, on, uh, ouch, sorry. Woo, y'all remind me. What was I looking at right there? Reddit, RDDT. With that being said, I would draw the downward move on this weekly chart right here. Whoa, target, target, target. Oh, SPX room. They can't hear me, but if anybody is here and also in the SPX room, would you tell them that we hit a target if they were long still? Anyone in the SPX room, if you would be so kind as to let them know that. Okay. All right. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate it. I hope you were in that. I know it was not a fun, choppy mess, but someone in here asked me to explain how I traded that chop all day, and I would be happy to do that. All right. All right. Reddit. When measuring this move, the top of this bear channel is resistance until proven otherwise. The thing is in a bearish trend overall. I can't find a bullish rally that price has been able to hold above the 618. So there's no rally for me to measure. That means I got to lean bullish on the name. All right. But if I were trading this for long term, then I'm a buyer down at lower and we will find that demand. It's right here. Right here. Right there. You see it? Beautiful. Beautiful. It's been tested, but nonetheless, it's a beautiful demand zone right there. All right. Okay. This is my first target, this bear channel, and then the bearish GP. Okay. If you're looking for a place to short Reddit, it's a valid short because we're below the yearly edge mid. We're below the bear channel. As long as price stays below 174.02, that's the bear channel, and that's bearish. We're below the weekly cloud. Um, Inside and up, though, right here, that would be a target. Okay. So if you're long from the demand zone, my first target is going to be 153 to 174 and then 191 to 208. Above here, because this has no supply, there is no supply there on the weekly chart. There is no supply. All right. For that, I would have to go to a daily chart. Above these zones that I would be trading, right, as targets, this is where my supply comes in. So you have inside candle right there and a down, an inside candle and a down. So if I'm going to mark supply, I'm going to mark it like this because I know there's supply lower, but I have it marked already with those Fibonacci zones. Okay. So big time frame, which is the only way I would be long Reddit, is I want to be a buyer between 121 and 79. And then I want to trim, and target. For trades to the downside, bearish trades on smaller time frame, right? This is a zone that you can look to go short, as is this zone look to go short. Then I would trim and target. All right. Janine, great question. There's a SPX and an SPX room. That's actually where I spend a majority of my day, if I'm being honest. Is day trading and scalp trading SPX and XSP in the SPX room. And then Trini John and I dual broadcast both rooms. Mondays and Wednesdays. And then, of course, any swing trades or day trades that I would take that aren't SPX or XSP would be in this room, in the trendy room. Okay. But all SPX and XSP is in the SPX room. All right. That covers Reddit. Janine. Oh, thank you, Kapil, for getting my YouTube for Janine. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oil plummeted. What's the news? Who knows, Patrick? Oh my gosh. I'm so tired of trying to keep up with this news. What a move though. Holy cow. Watch your we're at a sell zone here, but it's very late in the day. FYI, we're at a sell zone. We can watch for confirmation trade to go short from this sell zone. Let me show you. I'm not sure if John's chart is showing this as a sell zone, but I would imagine it is. Because our zones typically match up pretty well. But this actually is the first time that ES made it to a sell zone for me. All right, right here. So if I was waiting for confirmation, what I do is wait for a lower high and then a break below, but I only take the trade if the risk to reward is worth it. Okay, and right now, this is the high. I'll use 3-minute candles for my confirmation process. Holy cow, Mirza, did you catch that bottom of chop to this run? Tell me you did in SPX, Mirza. Come on. Tell me you did. Holy cow. Oh, oh man. That was a heck of a move. That's all right. There'll be another one. All right, guys. Here's your high, right? Am I short XSP? I am not. As I mentioned, I would wait for confirmation, Robbie. I would wait for confirmation. All right. All right. High. Now I wait for a lower high and then a break below the body of the lower high candle. Only if the risk is less than the reward. If this 3-minute candle comes up here, right? If this 3-minute candle comes up in here and a break below the body is, say, below 74.57, then that would trigger a trade to the downside with my first target being right here. All right. The risk on that trade would be 5 points, and the reward on that trade would be about 5.5. So at least a 1-for-1. But if we come up on this 3-minute candle, make a higher high, the process starts all over again for me. Right now, this is not a good risk to reward regardless, because the break below the body would be here. Okay, that gives me a risk of 8 points and a reward of 3, 2.5. Not going to take that trade, but it's a mute point because that, my friends, is a higher high. No confirmation as of yet. Okay. No confirmation as of yet. So no trade in here. Mark the most recent high. Oh, we just made a higher high. This is off to the races right now. So don't step in front of a moving train and don't step in front of a falling knife. I don't know about you, But in my previous or in my earlier trading days, I did that a lot. I was profitable and would have great profits. And then I would get a little overconfident and I would step in front of moving freight trains to the upside or falling knives to the downside. And I wouldn't become red on the year, but I would give back too much of my profits. That's what led me to come up with the confirmation process. Ponzi, you're asking FCX $65 call. Was this an alert? So the alerts, Ponzi, are just above the chat where you just posted the chat, right? That's where you will see all of your alerts. All alerts for this room are in the alerts section above the chat. Okay? Yep. So the most recent alerts looks like John trimmed his Tesla equity at 419.97. Before that, he trimmed it at 415.92. It looks like he closed some NBIS equity today. A lot of equity orders there, I guess. He had a BABA call that he opened this morning, it looks like, and an IBM call that he also opened this morning. So those are the alerts for today. Okay. All right, someone asked, and I don't know how I skipped it or missed it, but can you show and explain your XSP chop trading today? And I can, but I'm going to use the SPX chart if that's cool with you. Okay. All right. Whoa, what a drop right there at that 618. Oof. This is the 618 from the all-time high to the most recent low. Okay. That's what that 618 is. All right, let me talk about really early on in the SPX room this morning, we identified a top of chop range and a bottom of chop range. We do that when price is just way too choppy. Now, before you would have seen a PMZ right here in between these levels, okay? It would have been a cyan box on my screen. And we love trading the PMZ. When I don't love trading the PMZ is when price is chopping all around it and I see people getting chopped up and stopped out of PMZ trades for no reason. All right. So for that reason and that reason alone, RS, or was it RS that asked this? Yes. RS, I removed the PMZ from my screen. That way, I didn't worry about traders in the SPX room getting chopped to pieces trading the PMZ. Okay. So this gray zone down here, let me make it go all the way out to tomorrow. Okay. The gray zone at the bottom is the bottom of chop. Oh no, Brennan, you got chopped up all day today? Yikes. I am so sorry. Okay, if I can make a suggestion, you know, Brennan, you've been around, you've been trading with me for a long time. You know, I am a huge trader of the PMZ, right? You know that, right, Brennan? Yeah. I've doubled my account, guys, 8 times trading PMZs. I mean, I love trading the PMZ. I don't love trading the PMZ when price is chopping all around it. So in SPX, I have the option of just taking that PMZ away. And when you create a bottom of the chop and a top of the chop, and the PMZ is sitting right in the middle of it, that's when I say no PMZ trades. I want to go long here and I want to go short here. Long here, short here. Okay. So this is what it looked like early this morning. This was a PMZ trade. Remember my PMZs right here? I went short PMZ and I trimmed and got stopped out for break even. It happened very quickly. Entered, trimmed. Now at this point, we're only 15 minutes into the market open and I have not said, hey, I think it's going to be a choppy day. So I was trading the PMZ. Okay. Then we came back up. Let me mention at this time, the NASDAQ, which I watch the NASDAQ chart and I talk about the NASDAQ quite a bit, okay, in the SPX room during the first hour of trading. And the NASDAQ was also at resistance, and this was a 15-minute cloud. And that is an 9 EMA on the 15-minute chart that I will trade. All right. So lots of reasons. I entered at the PMZ. I took about 6 points from the market. Then I got break even, stopped out. I did not trade this candle because once a trade works one time on an aggressive approach, I'm good. All right. I'm not going to do it again, typically, unless we're in chop. And we'll talk about that. All right. Then up here, this was actually a 618 to 887 trade, but it only made it to the imposter level where I trimmed and I got a break even stop. Okay. That was this trade. That's a momentum trade, but it worked out to first target, entered, and exited for about 5 points. I mean, this is scalp trading, guys, 5 to 10. That's what I'm going to take. All right. And then at this time, we had an opportunity. Remember, I still have not said that this is going to be a choppy day. So I got a PMZ here, and this is my first target. Okay. All right. I did not get a short here because I'm waiting for confirmation, and I may add a high, a lower high, and a break below the body. Gave me a risk on that trade of 11 to 12 points. And my reward on that trade would have been 5. No risk to reward, no trade for Melissa. I did not trade that. All right. Then we came down into the buy zone. I waited with confirmation. Low, higher low, break above the body. That gave me a risk on that trade of 4 points, and my reward was 6. Okay. So that was a trade. The bottom of the PMZ was my first target. The top of the PMZ was my second target. Then I said, you know what? This is looking like a choppy day, guys. I'm going to take the PMZ off the chart and I'm going to trade the chop. When I am trading chop, and notice, this is very important. I'm in profits. I've had 1 winning trade. I've had 2 winning trades. I've had 3 winning trades. I'm in profits. I'm not just starting right now to trade the bottom and the top of chop. I'm in profits, right? So I aggressively add. If we pull back to a buy zone, I'm adding and I'm trimming, and then I'm adding, and then I'm trimming, and then I'm adding, and then I'm trimming. And then we get an actual trade from the sell zone. This is the first one I had from the sell zone. So I entered, I trimmed, I got break even, stopped out. But this trade, I was still in calls. Did you know you can be in calls and puts at the same time when the market is choppy? Did you know that? Okay, you can. All right. So I bought puts here, but I was still in calls from this trade here. All right. Because we're just chopping. I hadn't made it to my next target. I had no reason to be stopped out. And so I just traded it, bought puts here, took profits, got break even, stopped out, then trimmed my calls, and then took puts here, and then trimmed my puts here. Now, mind you, I'm still in calls, right? Still in calls. Guess what? Right before you and I got on the mic, or right when you and I got on the mic, I knew that I wanted to add to my calls, but I was going to be on the mic with you, right? Because the trend of the day was bullish. And I had trimmed out too many of them and I'd gotten out of my short position. All right. So I added right here. I took heat. I had a set and forget down here. It didn't make it to it. That's okay. I added right down here. Y'all saw me trim. You saw me trim. Then it trimmed and trimmed. All right. And that was how I traded chop today. Is it setting up with is the set and forget setting up with a better risk to reward? Not so far, Janet. So here's your high, here's your lower high. You never have to break below the body, and that wasn't a good risk to reward at all. Then we got a high, a lower high. Ooh, you almost got a break of the body. But Janet, right here, what would you have been your first target? I got to make sure you know this. What would have been my first target right here, Janet? Yes, good job. Yes, the bottom of this zone. So, guys, this is first target. If I take this trade right here, I have a risk of 9. I have a reward of 4. No, thank you. I just don't need to be in the trade that bad. Right? I'm not going to risk 9 to make 4. Okay? High, lower high, break below. Is this a high, lower high? We didn't get a break below. Here's a high, here's a lower high so far. If the body is down here, I don't know where this body is going to end up. But if it's too close to right here, that's my reward and my risk is right here. Okay? And I don't know if it's going to set up like that. Yeah, RS, this is the bottom of chop. So what I used is the daily edge mid, which is support until proven otherwise. And then 73.88.13 was a key Fibonacci level of the move from yesterday. And that's how I came up with the bottom of chop. Okay. 50 and 618, FYI, if you want to, the 5618. Okay. That's how I came up with it. You just look at where price is turning around at to the upside. That's your bottom of chop. And then this top of chop, SPX room or Janet or anyone else in here that's in the SPX room, we use Fibonacci here to find the top of chop. But obviously where price just kept turning around at. Robbie, that would be true, except if I am waiting for confirmation and taking this as a confirmation trade, right? I just don't have it yet. And I don't like have to be in the trade so bad. Like if you find, okay, let me make a suggestion to all of us because I need to hear this as much as anyone. That's just being honest. If I am striving to find a reason to get into a trade, it's probably not actually setting up according to my rules. Right? So, Ravi, we're at the very end of the day, right? Would you like to carry a bearish position overnight right now? Let me ask you that first, Ravi, because we can be completely different. Would you like to carry a bearish position overnight? No, me neither. My answer would actually be HE double hockey sticks, no, or hell no. All right. Look, let me show you something. And this is, I know not a lot of people talk about the Dow, but I'm going to talk about it because this has been the deciding factor for me all for the last several weeks. And I want to show you the Dow because it's important. This is a thing that has been, it hasn't made a new all-time high, and it needs to, right? Look at the strength of this. We, 2 days ago, if I had told you, hey, we're going to make a higher high this week, you would have probably said, yeah, right. But that's what is happening. So we all know the NASDAQ's been very, very strong, right? Well, when the Dow starts playing along, I'm really not looking to short SPX overnight. I'll short SPX during the day all day long. I know you're pretty new to the rooms, Ravi, but you definitely can talk to in the SPX room and they'll tell you all day trade that thing short all day long. But if I'm carrying something overnight, Ravi, I would rather it be with the trend. And the trend, my friend, is bullish. So I'm not striving to get into a short with only, what is that, an hour, 2 hours left in the day, right? Only a couple hours left in the day. If a trade sets up, then I'm all about it. Are my scalps always from zones? It's the answer is my scalps are always from zones. Yes. And can it be anywhere based on price action? Those zones could be anywhere based on price action. Absolutely. Let's talk about this one. First off, I need to remove this zone, okay? Because it's gone. Price is closed above it, all of that. No reason to continue hold on. Having that zone there, okay? And I exited here. Sorry. We have a recap session in the SPX room at the end of the day. So I have to keep these trades on here so that I know. All right. So based on price action, Ravi, I create new zones throughout the day. So this is a great example of creating a new zone. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this gray zone a lot more narrow. Are we going to make a new all-time high? Wow. No, but we might get up to the upper weekly edge tomorrow. Maybe. This is 618 from the all-time high to the most recent low. This is a bigger time frame perspective. I would want to see a 2 or a 4 hour candle close above here before I would take a momentum trade 618 to 887 for my 618 to 887 traders. But as I was saying, Ravi, what I'm going to do to, because of price action, I am constantly updating my charts in the room. Okay. And this is where I'm going to update this gray zone, this sell zone. Okay. Because the reason why I'm doing that is because I know that measuring the Fibonacci of this beautiful rally right here, I have a buy zone. The bullish channel is now a buy zone for me. Okay. And so for that reason, I made my sell zone more narrow. All right. So this is now a buy zone. And below there, this is now a buy zone. These zones also represent targets to the downside if I get a put position. You got it, Janet? Yes, that is 2 hour because this is my day trading chart, right? And so it's 2 hour zones. Yes, that's the answer to the question. Way to go. All right. And Ravi, answer your question. It is, yep, absolutely. Zones change based on price action, and I am constantly updating them as the day goes on. Okay. All right, guys. Trendy Room, I just gave you a whole bunch of information that I should have been talking about in the SPX room, but that's okay. I don't mind sharing the info. I hope that you learned something from it. Even if you don't trade SPX, it's the same process with no matter what you trade. If you trade SPY, if you trade QQQ, if you trade futures, it's the same process. It doesn't matter. Awesome, Janine. Happy to hear that. All right, guys. I'm over my time on Q&A. John might be out spending time with his family, so I guess he's not coming in, but I'll be around. If you have any questions and you need to get an answer, be sure and click on my name, and that will tag me. So I will hear a ding in my ear, knowing that there's a question for me here in the trendy room. All right. All right. As always, we truly appreciate you. Oh, Mirza, you're asking the question, are you interested in confirmation short here in the zone? Yep, I sure am, Mirza. You bet. I ain't scared. Now, Mirza, I'm not looking to carry a bearish trade overnight, right? Trend is bullish and I don't swing anything overnight that's counter trend. I just don't do that. So, yeah, risk to reward. And Mirza, my reward is the bottom of that zone right there. Okay. So my risk is a higher high, but my reward is 74.47. And if it's a good risk to reward, I'd take the trade. You bet. And if it loses, that's okay. It's just a trade. All right, guys, we appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of the Trendy and SPX family. John and I both truly appreciate you. And Mirza, break below this body would be your trigger. Unless we make a higher high. And now, Mirza, the whole process starts over. Oh, heavens. Yeah, the whole process starts over, my friend. Did you catch that, Mirza? I want to make sure you're still listening. Yeah, no problem. Dude, go watch that SPX class from January. I'm telling you, like, this is income producing type stuff right here. Income producing. I know, Buckeye Dave. Yeah, we were talking about it. Do y'all trade or if you're a squeeze trader, if you grew up with the squeeze, John Carter, our founder of Simpler Trading, developed the squeeze many, 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 many years ago before I was trading options. But the squeeze ultra, I was talking to the SPX room and we were down here and I was like, golly, guys, if we can get this squeeze ultra to fire to the upside, we are in the money. And that was another reason that I kept adding here. And so that's what Buckeye Dave is talking about. If you look down here at this indicator at the bottom of my screen, this is the squeeze indicator. And these white arrows are saying, hey, ultra, hey, ultra squeeze, hey, ultra squeeze. And boom. TLC, it is available to you, but it's available for purchase. It is a 5-hour in-depth class. Very, very, very in-depth class. Um, Teaching how I trade SPX for income. A couple of years ago, or about 18 months ago, I guess, my husband lost his job. And my elderly parents live with me, TLC, and I needed to keep a roof over our head. And so I chose SPX as a vehicle to day trade, making $500 a day or $2,000 a week to pay my bills. And then I shared that entire strategy, which it is grounded in trendy methodology and supply and demand with some tweaks that I had to put into place to trade for income. So, anyway, the class is well worth it. I can confidently say that the cost of the class is somewhere like $1,000, and day after day, even with just the trade plan that I give each morning, set and forget trades, TLC, this week alone has netted more profits than that. So, all right, guys. Uh, Vehicle. I I am from the South, Mike. All right. I love you guys. If no one's told you lately, I want you to know that you are appreciated. You are valuable and you're amazing. And I believe, yes, this is positive self-talk and positive affirmations. But guys, it's important to your psyche and it's important to your trading. So make a habit of speaking positive over yourself. All right. All right. Much love. Buckeye Dave, is CIFR at another trim? Really? Is it? You know my next trim, right? Sorry, guys. I was going to get off of here, I promise. But let's look. CIFR. Ooh, it's almost. Almost. This is a trade we're in. You can check the alerts. Oh, shoot. I keep moving my stop up right here. Okay. Y'all know how I trail a stop, and if you don't, I use the 38.2. Okay. Next trim is at 22. Oh, on Freeport. So Lester, I'm out. I took the loss on that, but those of you that stayed in, let's look at it. 63.81. That's your monthly edge mid. There you go, Buckeye Dave. Buckeye Dave, no new. And FYI, Lester, look in the notes section under Melissa's trade notes, and you should see these charts. All right. All right. All right. Much love, fam.